Hello. So I plan on making these once a week, but um, I just started this yesterday, so I wanted to go ahead and do another one and just um, maybe give a little bit of what I'm doing. Um, Again, I'm mainly doing these for me, just for my own benefit, my own. Yeah, my own benefit. My brain is clouded. This is why I need this. I guess. I mean, I can't even hardly think half the time about what I'm even trying to say. But I am not giving up Dr. Pepper completely at this point. Yesterday was my first day of limiting my Dr. Pepper, um, and I done it. I managed to make it till 1 o'clock, which is the first time that I ate, and then half one, and I didn't have any after 6, which is a really good thing for me too, because usually I do my crafting and sewing at night after the kids go to bed when I've got orders to fill, and um, I would have drank at least 2 probably doing that last night. And I did have to go to bed and not finish because I was severely wanting one. I mean, it was pretty bad. So I finally had to just say, you know what, I'm just going to go to bed. That way I don't think about it and start fresh tomorrow. So I have coffee with just half and half in there, a little bit of salt, um, which is not me. I'm not a big coffee person, and when I do coffee, it's got creamer, like, you know, caramel macchiato and things like that. I love the mocha frappes, that's my type of coffee. But I'm really trying, I'm really, really trying to do this because I need it. I know I do. Um, so my husband followed Dr. Berg's keto a couple of years ago now, I guess is when he started. He lost around 100 pounds. And he'd done it, but he was very strict and he'd done it well. And I started doing the same thing, just not eating as much salad as he was. Um, then I got pregnant, and that's when things kind of went south again for me. So in the course of my pregnancy and now having my 6-month-old, um, we've continued to learn and listen to different people and their thoughts on different things. And there's so much information on YouTube. It's ridiculous as far, well, on the internet, period. But it's like, don't do this diet because it's bad for you. Don't eat vegetables because it's bad for you. Don't eat all meat because it's bad for you. Don't do this because it's bad for you. And then you've got all these people that's swearing by these same diets and stuff. And so we've listened to different things. We're weighing things out, listening with open minds, and then just using some common sense um, on certain things. And we have come up with what we feel like is probably the best way to go, at least for us. But I can see where it would be probably the most beneficial way for anybody. Now, there's lots of different ways of eating, ways to lose weight and get healthy, but the one thing that you see across the board as being pretty important is dropping your carbs and your refined sugars. So we can see in the average American diet that is a problem. Fast food and all the additives that's in that is a problem as well. And so that is an obvious, thing for us. We're going to eliminate carbs and refined sugars. Now, the rest is where we're kind of a little bit in between on, because as Christians, believing and knowing that the earth is 6,000 years old, knowing that God put this earth together in a certain way and to be a certain way and to grow a certain way and to work a certain way. It just makes sense that we follow what God set in plan as far as food. And what that means is there's a season for everything. And when you look at the way that the food changes with the seasons, and you start thinking not in the mindset of today and what we have today, but rather what they had before all of our modern conveniences happened, you begin to see a pattern. In the spring, you see a lot of vegetables that become able to be eaten. A lot of the springtime veggies like spinach and kale, those baby greens and things like that, become available for eating. And then you have, with that also, you see a lot more eggs being laid and stuff. During the winter time, egg laying from like chickens and stuff kind of slows. So you see a lot more prosperous laying in the eggs, and so they become more available. But then you have your greens that are available, and then in the summer that changes somewhat, and you have a lot more like your full-on veggies that are available. Depending on where you're from too, that plays a part in it. But broccoli and things like that. The fall pumpkins and apples and things like that come, and they are higher in sugar content naturally. But when you think about it, naturally, if we were living out in the wild on our own, we would need to put on a little bit of fat for the winter, for warmth. So those being higher in sugar content, a little bit more fattening foods would make sense, and then you go into winter and there's not a lot of vegetation, but what there is available in all of those seasons is meat. And it's most available in the winter, as far as your main food source. So obviously meat needs to be a part of our diet, and obviously fat versus sugar needs to be our main source of energy. And that being said, I don't think that some vegetation is wrong and is bad. I think that you just need to realize that you're eating vegetation based on what you would be gathering rather than just going to the grocery store. So not like a huge amount of vegetation to a small amount of meat, but rather a small amount of vegetation that you would have gathered in the day or in the week, and then a lot of meat. So that is essentially, in a nutshell, what I'm going to try and do to see if I can lose weight and get healthy. I am doing a lot of different meats. I try to do as much organic as possible, but I understand and realize that that is not always possible. So, you make the best choice that you can and you move on. And you do what you can for your health and you move on. And so that's kind of how I'm embracing this. So I've talked your ear off for almost 10 minutes. I'm going to stop now and get my kids back into everything they need to be doing. And I will talk a little bit more in depth about what I'm doing and different things in the weeks to follow. But I have really big hopes for this. And so anyway, yeah, that's it for now.